I see people joining. Hey, Mom's That Beer. I haven't talked to you in a minute. 803 Music is here. Hi, how are you? Jess in the ATL. Sandy Cap. Hey, folks. What's up, Kimbo? Hey, Chef. Thank you for being here. It's Wednesday already. Wednesday already. Hi. I guess that means you can hear me, Chanel. Happy Wednesday, y'all. It's already here. It's already time to get lit and learn, as my friend Mickey Bryant, also known as Black and Brute Chicago, posted. Get lit and learn. I think I'm gonna have to borrow that. But it's Wednesday. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for the compliment on my hair, Chanel. I thought I was having a bad hair day. You know, one of those days when your hair is like really close to being trash and it just turns out okay. I'm just having one of those days, which is good because I've had a serious day. I cannot wait to start drinking with Billie tonight. So I'm excited about the beer and the wine that we are pairing this week. We were supposed to be in the same place. But we just couldn't make it happen. In fact, I just finished working about 15 minutes ago. And so getting in the same place today was not going to work. So we're really going to try it for next week, which is the last episode. And I was actually thinking of doing a bonus round if she would be down for that, because as you'll see today, I picked another sour beer. And we had a sour beer last week. And then we had a farmhouse on Monday. And all of my beer friends know that those are related in some way. So what up, Bubba best friend is in the house. Excited to feast is here. So I picked a sour this week because of the wine that Billie picked. Remember, as I told you, we alternate. So the first week Billie picked the wine, and then I picked the beer to go with it. The second week I picked the beer and then Billie picked the wine to go with it. So now it was Billie's turn. She picked a wine and I had to pick the beer to go with it. And it just happened to be another sour. If you saw my reel today, you got a sneak peek of what it is, but it's the luck of the draw. So it is a lemon sour though. So it's a little different and I'm excited. For those of y'all who've not ever had this beer before, I think few of y'all had it who come to Sunday service, which is our bottle share on Sundays. I think I brought this before, but I really, really like it. Anyway, so we are, for those of you who are just now joining us, it's going to bring everybody up to speed. My name is Jen Price, and I'm owner and operator of the soon-to-come Atlanta Beer Boutique. And I have a good friend who introduced me to Billie, who is a wine geek. As much as I like beer, Billie likes wine. And so I met her at that friend's house, my friend LaCoya's house, and we just hit it off. Every time I see her, she has a new wine to share and I have a new beer to share. And we just developed this friendship over beer and wine. And I'm always trying to learn more about wine. My best friend is way more into wine than I am. So whatever she has, I just have. And the same thing with one of my colleagues at work, Leah. Whenever she orders a wine, I just get whatever she has. She picks the best wine. So, but I don't know enough about it. So I thought doing a series that kind of juxtaposed beer and wine to talk about the similarities, the differences, would be a very good way to educate people. And so what's happened over the last 2 weeks is we've just sat there and tasted both of the beer and the wine together, or one at a time and then together, and just had good chats about it. So while we wait for Billie to come on, I wanted to know what everybody is drinking. Hit me up in the comments below. Let me know what you are toasting with tonight. I am going to be having a few things because this beer that I'm showing you guys tonight is actually very low alcohol, like super low, especially for me. But it would make a very good beer cocktail base. Like, it hardly even tastes like beer. And it's a few reasons for that I'll talk about as well. Hey, Callie Faith, thank you for joining. And then Billie will, I'm sure, talk about how this wine made her think of lemons and tartness and those components that are in the wine. And we'll talk a little bit about process. I know last week we talked about how sour beers are made. We'll talk a little bit about that and then dive deeper into the actual ingredients in this beer and how it lends to the overall experience with drinking it. So if you have something that you're sipping on, let me know down in the comments. And I want to know what you're drinking and what you're enjoying today. And also want to know if you've been to any good local breweries lately in Atlanta. I haven't been anywhere. I've been to my good old Faithful locations. There you go, Chanel. So Callie, Faith, wanted a beer that tastes like rosé, and Chanel responded Alani. Alani is a rosé ale, a rosé sour, brewed by Reformation Brewery, and they have it in cans now. It's rosé inspired, so they use hibiscus. Chanel is actually sipping on that beer. She's sipping on Alani, which is the answer to your question, Faith, about wanting a beer that tastes like a rosé. It will remind you of a rosé. It is definitely a beer, but it will put you sort of in that in the vibe of a rosé. It's crisp, it's light, it's refreshing, bubbly. You can drink it with a lot of different foods, so I really enjoy it for that reason. So try that. You can find it at most, like if you live near a Publix, they should have it. Your local bottle shop might have it, and you can definitely get it, I think, from the brewery. It should be on tap right now, which is the best time to get that beer. So who else is drinking something fun? If you have any questions, go ahead and populate them below while we wait on Billie to check in. Just to bring you guys up to date on Atlanta Beer Boutique stuff, I'm doing a real post about this on Friday, but y'all know I have been like up against this crazy timeline. It's not really a crazy timeline. My bank and the SBA have both been more than generous with their time and with trying to give me enough runway to take off again and make some things happen with my business and potentially give me more money to do that. That deadline is here and it is passed, and I have not found a project that they actually thought that they could support. I found a few projects that I really liked, but they are, as a bank should be, and as anyone who lends you money should be, concerned with turning a profit, and not just at a regular pace. If this had been 2020, when I was working on opening a business and I had a little more time, a lot more time, really like 18 months more time, and more cushion on that loan, then starting a project in a location that may have more promise and potential than current stability may be something that they would fund. The projects that I have found outside of the interlock, which wasn't a good fit, were in more of the potential stage. Like, oh, he got potential. When you're talking about dudes or boys or girls, he has great potential, but are they there yet? Probably not. So the bank was like, well, we want him to be there. We want this location to be there. And that was an interesting conversation I had this week. So I am still figuring out what's going to happen next with Atlanta Beer Boutique. I am going to auction off all of my furniture, fixture, and equipments that I had for the Atlanta Beer Boutique, and the proceeds from that will go directly to the principal balance of the loan. The principal balance will be paid down. They will re-amortize my loan, and I'll start making payments. So that's where things are with that. It's a perfect time to start drinking. Van, also known to you guys as Billie, up to the stage for us to start drinking our beer and our wine. Happy Wednesday, Billie. Happy Wednesday to you.
Happy Wednesday to y'all.
Hey. Yay, you're here. It looks like your phone is catching up to your face. Let's see.
Oh.
It's a little bit of a delay.
Let me put my phone. How about that?
What'd you say? You gonna do what? She's going to do something. I'm just waving at all these awesome people who have joined us. A lot of people who I don't know. And I think a lot of folks who may not follow Billie. So make sure you follow Billie. If you're one of my beer peeps and you're on here, follow Billie at Vino Van LLC. And you can follow me at ATL Beer Boutique. Because I see lots of cross-pollination happening. I see your friends here and my friends here, Billie. If we were in person at a party, this would be fun.
Oh, yeah, it would.
Yeah.
I can't wait till we do something like that.
We absolutely are. As soon as it's okay, we have friends on both sides that like to get lit.
Okay,
We got that in common.
that part.
Yeah. How you been?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm
Good.
just trying to keep it together.
I know. I was telling people that we thought we'd be able to get together today. Just schedules didn't work out. Like I just finished working 15 minutes before we hopped on here. Just
Oh,
too much happening. Too much happening. So hopefully next time. And I was saying earlier that I might be able to entice you to do a bonus round the next week. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But because I feel kind of bad. And I feel bad because I have brought another sour. And I really, when I started doing the series in my mind, I really wanted to like vary the beers that I brought.
right.
But it just so turned out, I was explaining that, you picked the wine this week, and it just so happened that a sour again went really well with the wine. It's just how it turned out. It's different from the one we had last week, but so
Yeah.
we may have to do a bonus round. We'll just see. Would you be down with that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Definitely. So, but
Yay.
I remember like when we first started talking about like beer and wine, and you were trying to like, help or kind of guide me in a direction of a beer that I might like as a wine drinker. I do remember you saying sours is like, so I can see why the sours keep kind
Yeah.
of going along with, the wines, because I remember you telling me that a while ago.
It's a gateway. It's the perfect gateway beer for wine drinkers,
Yeah.
which is I love being able to tell people that.
Yeah.
What's up, fam? My fam, Black and Blue Chicago. Mickey is here. I was talking about Mickey earlier because she put on her Instagram story today, "Get lit and learn." That's what
I,
she called our session today. Get lit and learn. I think I'm gonna steal that.
that's nice.
Yeah. You ready to jump into it?
I'm ready.
Okay, so you start and show us the wine because you picked the wine this week.
So
And
this
oh,
is
well,
me.
somebody has already gotten started. I'll show y'all what a full bottle looks
Look,
like.
let me I, my wine. Look. Well, me, it's just a little bit, right?
I'm not mad.
So
I'm not
that's
mad.
what the bottle looks like. Okay, this is when you get the party started early. This is what it looks like.
That's
But
right.
so this is a Italian wine. So I'm in Italy again too, because we had a Lambrusco the last time.
That's right.
But so this is an Italian wine from the Piedmont region of Italy.
Okay.
It is the Angelo Negro Vino Bianco. And this wine is made from, or the varietal is Arneus, which is an indigenous grape to Piedmont region of Italy. Goes back as far as the 15th century, actually. Um,
Wow.
this varietal, uh, actually, this winemaker, Giovanni Negro, was actually one of the first winemakers to actually make Arneus in a dry style. And he did that in 1971.
Wow.
Kind
Okay.
of that long ago. So I guess I would
Wow.
assume that this particular varietal was a more fruitier in style prior to the wine, prior to him making it. Yeah, look at Giovanni Negro. Yeah, thanks. But so this wine, as you can see, it is unfiltered. It is super
Yes.
cloudy.
Tell
Um,
me. Tell me. So I haven't opened
so,
mine yet.
so you,
I need to just kind of gently shake it, right? Gently
yeah,
roll it or shake
so
it.
I just take it and flip it upside down and do it in a
Oh,
circular,
that's right.
just like that.
So
And just,
that's how you disturb the sediment, which is usually just yeast and yummy stuff, right? The stuff you want.
oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
what's going to give the wine a little bit more body, more of a mouth feel, kind
Hmm.
of a, maybe like almost like a crunchy, not want to say, but yeah, more of a textured mouth feel, definitely.
Were you
And this,
about to say chewy?
yes,
We use that word in beer too. I get it. Yeah. Yeah.
uh, this wine is also a certified organic wine.
Ooh.
And we call this, as far as the color in the wine world, we call it straw yellow, which I'm sure you all probably use those same. Y'all use
Mm-hmm.
straw and hay,
Yep,
and
we
mhm.
do.
So this would be yellow straw, or not so much. We wouldn't call it pale because it's cloudy, so it's more so cloudy. But on the nose is extremely citrus driven. I mean, as far as um, like lemongrass, lime, grapefruit.
Mm.
Um, it's a very citrusy wine, basically. But you do get like other like tree fruit, like apple, maybe like a yellow apple, or even maybe like peach.
I totally get apple. I get apple for sure.
Yeah. So it's more so like but it's not like I said, it's not like a red delicious apple. It's more like
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know,
A golden.
a golden apple. Yeah.
Really sweet smelling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it does. It's it's very. It's like even some tropical notes in there, maybe
Mm.
some tropical fruit notes. Someone said that sounds amazing. This is
It
one of my favorites,
does.
y'all. I have a few bottles of this wine here at the house. It's one of my go-tos. Just like one of my what I call my no-brainer wines when I just feel like drinking some wine, and it pairs with a lot of different things, like a vast array of different dishes. So
This is my kind of
wait a
wine.
minute. Yeah, it's like I said, it's a go-to for like hands down. I make sure I keep a bottle at my house. It's one of those kind of wines.
This is the best wine we've had so far.
Ooh.
This tastes, I mean, it's perfect.
It's everything rolled up into a glass.
Everything that I like about a wine. Yes. It's light,
Yeah.
it's crisp, it has fruitiness, it has depth though, even though it's fruity and light, it still has depth.
And that's because it's unfiltered, so it's give you.
That's what you said.
That being unfiltered is going to give you that. And then too, it also has some real nice mineral characteristics to it too. Not overbearing.
Yes.
Oh, and someone said it's
very minerally.
There's nothing sweet about this wine at all. Like
it's not sweet. It's just enough. It's just enough of like a sweet, a fruit sweetness, not like sugary, like the sweet you would get in a naturally occurring piece of fruit.
Yeah,
it's not sugary, candy, cheap, sweet tasting.
No,
like
like flavored wine, sweet. Like
it is so good.
Very refreshing. It's good for a hot summer day. When you're just sitting outside on your patio or on your front porch or on a rooftop somewhere or wherever you sit and and just sort of kind of sip it.
My best friend would love this. Rashawn, you would love this wine. I know she's on here, but she ain't drinking right now because she's very fit and fine and fabulous. But when you start drinking again, I'm going to give this to you. Lux by Allison is asking about the price point. I bought this last night and I should know, but I always spend so much money on stuff. I don't know what costs what.
So it varies a few dollars in different places. On average, it's about $14.99.
Yeah, I thought it was
one that we had last week.
I thought that was very accessible though. $14. Yeah. I wouldn't mind spending $14 on a bottle. You get 4 glasses out of a bottle.
Yeah.
Right? Somewhere around there. That's worth it. That's like $3.50 a glass.
For me, it may be $3.
It just depends. Nobody's judging. Yeah. The point is, per serving, it is very affordable and very cheap. It's 13%. Where does that range in like percent alcohol by volume for wine? Is it different from white to red ABV?
It differs, but you do have some other things that may attribute to a white wine being a little bit higher, in ABV. Okay. A lot of times, it has a lot to do with the regions too. Me personally, I find that wines from Italy, wines from South Africa, tend to be, even their white wines tend to be a little bit higher. Okay. ABV, but that possibly may have something to do, definitely has something to do with the fermentation process, but more so as the length of fermentation, possibly yeast, how long the yeast is allowed to eat
up and create alcohol. Yep. Right,
because alcohol is the So a lot of different things play a part, you know, in the ABV. And to a little side note, just because it says it on the bottle doesn't necessarily mean that's exactly the, you know, that's the exact ABV or content.
Right.
Times it's really hard to measure alcohol by volume in wine. So, but you know, regulations or so forth, you have to you have to put it on the label.
Okay.
But it could possibly be a half a notch or a half a point or a point, a whole point higher.
That's not bad.
But maybe it may be more sometimes.
That's not gonna put you over the top. If one little half or a whole percent puts you over the top, you already reached your limit. Okay.
Yeah,
you should have stopped a long time ago.
And yeah, sometimes when you see a red wine and it say like maybe 14.5, 14.9, or 15%, 9 times out of 10, those wines are like way higher than that.
So the same thing happens in beer, and that's because I think I mentioned this before. There are laws in a lot of different places about what the high end, the maximum alcohol by volume can be. And so brewers may say, I think Georgia is 15, and they'll be like, yeah, it's 14.9. Like, really, it's probably, and if it has been barrel aged, and it's not true. It's not true. Okay, so I'm excited. That is crack. Right. Listen, a few people on here are very aligned in their drinking habits. Chanel and Mickey said that this bottle was maybe 2 glasses for them.
Oh,
them some big glasses. They have big glasses.
Oh, and then as far as the fermentation process, this wine is stainless steel fermented.
And what does that do? Remind us.
Basically, whenever you're trying to, I guess, pick your vessel for your fermentation, it's a lot of different things go into that, whether it depends on the varietal, of course.
Okay.
Some varietals cannot stand any sort of oak aging at all.
Okay.
Like you wouldn't oak age, that's not saying that some winemakers may not attempt. It's because of the type of grape varietal. So normally when a winemaker ferments in a stainless steel vessel or some other vessel that's not going to impart any type of flavor profile, then that's just because they just want the fermentation process to happen.
Right.
No, now I want to say manipulation, but no interference.
I hear you. No interference. Yep.
Yeah. So this one, that was a winemaker's choice. But two, what I was going to say about the fermentation process. Well,
we were talking about fermentation.
As far as maturation, which maturing, this one really went through like 4 months.
Okay.
So I mean, it's just they wanted to kind of it's a natural wine, so it's minimal, just the bare minimal when they're making their certified organic or natural wines. They just want the native yeast or the natural yeast that they're using to just do its job, and whatever occurs after that is just what it's going to be.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah, I love that. Lux by Allison asked where we could buy this. If you're in Atlanta, I bought this at Hop City.
Yeah, Hop City carries it. You know what? It's a pretty popular wine, so you can possibly find it at various wine shops, bottle shops, even liquor stores. I know Tower carries it. Total Wine carries it too. And I think Local Vine carries it as well.
Okay, perfect. Lux by Allison, let us know where you're checking in from, and if we're not here in Atlanta, maybe we can find it for you. I'm gonna go on and open the beer because I am so excited. So the beer that I got, it's already like getting so bubbly and beautiful. Did you already pour yours? It is Wild Leap Lemonade. Mulatto 13 says your volume goes in and out, and the picture isn't really clear. So I think it goes in and out when you're moving a lot.
Oh, when I'm moving? Well, you know what? Let me stand still then, Chad.
Let's see if it works when you stand still, and if not, are you on your phone?
I'm on my
okay, but
better success with my phone than my iPad the last
Yeah, I remember. That's why I was asking.
Oh, and I
Um,
a little Wi-Fi.
yeah, I don't know. You are going out a little bit on every like random word. It's hard to tell when it's gonna happen though. It's
No,
okay though. You're still here. That's fine. We'll
I'm
get
here.
through it. Yeah. So the beer this week is by Wild Leap. Big, the CEO says turn your Wi-Fi on.
It's on. I turned it
It's
on.
on. She turned it on. It's by Wild Leap and it's called Lemonade. Look at that beautiful can.
It's so pretty.
Isn't it a beautiful can? These guys are from LaGrange, Georgia. It's a pretty new brewery. LaGrange, if you're not from Atlanta, it's a little south of here, not too far. And they were voted in 2019. USA Today did these polls and did a whole like battery of surveys and polls about best beer bar, best brewery, best small town dive bar, best big town beer bar. And Wild Leap was voted in 2019 by the people as one of the best new breweries. So they are award winning in that regard and produce some really, really good beer. So this is Lemonade. It is a brew beer with vanilla bean,
Definitely lemonade.
lactose.
I can feel that.
Sorry, I wrote it. I had to get it. I had to pull it up over here. Meyer lemon, vanilla bean, and milk sugar. So right away on the nose, you get like, I get lemon and vanilla. It tastes like, it smells like dessert to me, like a lemon meringue pie almost. And when you taste it,
I definitely felt that that it has.
I mean, come on, man. It's so easy.
I'm in a can. That's what it is.
It is. It is so easy to drink. So to tell you a little bit more about sours and how they are produced. So this is different from the sour that we had last week. The sour that we had last week was by Two Tides in Savannah called Sheesh. It was a heavily fruited sour. So, and I'm not sure about their process, but you can add fruit to brewing a couple of ways. You can add it in the mash, and the mash is when you're boiling the grain in the hot water and you're boiling everything together. You can throw the fruit in there. It helps to extract the sugar, and that turns into alcohol when you add the yeast. We talked about that whole ABV thing. But the other way is after the beer has been brewed, some breweries brew a base of beers, just a straight sour base, and then they'll dump fruit into it and then age it and or barrel it and then can it. Last week, I'm not exactly sure how that fruit was added, but it was so much fruit that it made the beer a different texture. It was heavier. It was, excuse me for burping. Could y'all hear that? It was heavy. You heard that?
I mean,
I'm gonna have to edit that out.
It happens.
It was heavier and a lot more full in your mouth. The mouthfeel was different. This one is the only fruit added is lemon, first of all. They use Meyer lemon, which is not a super, super tart lemon. Meyer lemons were actually introduced in the early 1900s. They're from China by a dude whose last name was Meyer. He just took credit for creating the whole lemon. He brought it over from China. And it's said to be a mix or a hybrid between a lemon and I think like a mandarin or a mandarin orange. So it's a little more sweet than a regular lemon. You don't get that bite, that bitterness, and that tartness, but it is still very puckering and tart. I think it works perfectly for a beer because adding lemon to a beer, whether it's during the mash or post mash, doesn't create, it's not a whole lot of sugar. As you know, if you compare it to like a heavily fruited sour, it just doesn't add the weight to it. It doesn't add the thickness to it. It makes this super crushable, like Chanel said, and just light and crisp and just easy to drink. What do you think about this one?
I think it's very refreshing. I was holding them both, but I think it's very refreshing. And like you said, it's not like, you know, it's not super tart. You know, it's tartness. It's not like overly
No.
tart. It's easy to drink. Just
yeah. And it's only 5.5% ABV.
Oh.
So you're not gonna get lit off of this one. You can have
Yeah.
so many of these and just really enjoy it. You really can. My friend Denise just said, sorry, I'm late. Let's catch people up who may have just joined us.
Oh,
So
cool.
I'm Jen. That's my friend Billie. And we're
Hello.
talking about beer and wine today. And we've brought two interesting players to the field.
I
The
think
wine. Tell us what the wine is again, Billie.
Oh, so the wine is the varietal is Arneus, and it is an Italian varietal. This particular wine comes from the Piedmont region of Italy, and it is a certified organic, unfiltered wine, natural wine.
There you go. And the beer I brought is from Wild Lemonade Sour Ale. It's a lemon sour made with Meyer lemons, vanilla bean, and milk sugar. These guys are in LaGrange, Georgia, a little bit south of here, not as exotic as Italy. I don't even like Italian beer. I would bring one time, but I don't really prefer them. I like to drink as much local beer as I can too. So hence the Wild Leap beer. But
Yeah.
one of the things I wanted to talk about also while we're chatting about the ingredients of this beer, we talked about Meyer lemons. Lactose in beer adds body to beer. It's sugar. Lactose is just milk sugar, sugar from milk. Lactose cannot be broken down in the brewing in the fermentation process. So the sugar is extracted, but it also leaves something there. So that adds to the body of the beer, and it really creates sort of a little bit more fullness in your mouth. Whereas this sour, if it did not have the lactose in it, would probably be even more light in your mouth, almost like that wine is. The milk
Very,
sugar adds a little bit of heft, a little bit of weight, but not too much, just enough to give it a little more
yeah,
sort of presence while you're drinking it.
yeah.
Yeah, the other thing that they added to this is vanilla bean. And they added vanilla bean. You know, some breweries add vanilla extract or um, I hope that's, there's also like imitation vanilla that you can use, but that's disgusting. I was reading about adding vanilla to your brewing process though, and it is highly suggested that if you are brewing with beer, if you're brewing beer with vanilla, highly recommended that you use actual vanilla beans because it gives you depth. It just gives you more depth. You're going to get the flavor, but the depth that you get from beans versus an extract is noticeable when you are when you're brewing and when you're having beer.
Well, you know
Lux,
what?
I know Lux by Allison. She said she met me at Kennedy's art event with Tracy Nicole. Oh,
I remember that. Hey, Allison, what's up, girl? What's good?
hey, thanks for joining us. Thanks to everybody for joining us. We
I know.
are talking about beer and wine tonight.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
So you just think of something, Jen, when you were talking about the lactose, I guess, or the milk sugar. So
Yeah.
basically, when I first tasted it, the first thing I thought of or made me think about was malolactic fermentation, which is something that they do to wine to give it a
Uh-huh.
mouthfeel. Um,
Wow.
but it's a part of the fermentation process. It's not necessarily any sort of milk product of any kind added to the wine. It's more so the process itself, but it gives the wine a little bit of weight and a little bit of mouthfeel, just like as in this. So when you said that, I was like, okay, yeah. So that's how I was able to kind of connect
Wow.
with the beer. But
That is so
you
cool.
know,
It's so funny how there are such similarities between
it is.
the two. And I would imagine it's because, I mean, at the very base of both of these, beer and wine, they were created so long ago, and there
Yeah,
were so few ingredients at the time when they were created that some of the basics along the lines of fermentation,
yeah,
aging, carbonation, maturation, they're going to be the same because there were the same sort of techniques and tools available to everyone at that time.
yeah. It's always
Yeah.
I'm always curious when I think about that, as far as like them coming up with the idea. One of my mentors used to tell a story about wine and how, because it's like, well, how do they even think to even ferment grape juice or allow it to ferment? But of course, just as most things were way, way, way back then, it happened by mistake. And just they noticed that, once it sat for a while, unattended or what have you, it may not have had the best taste, the best taste or the best smell, but they liked the way it made them feel when they drank it.
Okay.
How about
Me
so?
too. Today.
Yeah. Before wine, the whole winemaking practice, sort of kind of turned into what it is today. It was a lot of happenstance, and the wine was honestly just it was terrible.
I bet. I bet it was
Yeah, it was
bad.
literally old grape juice in a sense. Like when I say the beginning, I mean like beginning, like
Yeah, like BC, back in when the Romans created wine, right? Are they credited with creating wine?
yeah,
Who's
yeah.
who's credited with creating it? Okay.
It's a couple of different stories. I mean, I've
Okay.
heard so many different stories about, and just not so much wine itself in general. I guess yes, you would say that, but they would like to say a lot of people want to thank the Catholic Church, for wine.
Really?
I've heard that story. I've also heard that
Okay.
are sparkling wines. Um, I've heard a story about it being accredited to monks in Limoux, France, and they were kind of like the first to, create the whole sparkling wine concept way
Huh.
before Dom Perignon and some of these other sparkling wine and champagne makers. It was the monks. Who knew? But
Chanel said Jesus,
yeah,
who turned water into wine, but it's before him. It's BC. Yeah,
okay.
wine was around before Jesus,
Listen,
but that was hilarious.
that is
Now, beer, on the other hand, also now there are different ideas about beer. Yeah, Chanel said monks must be busy because monks are known for creating a style of beer called Trappist beers, named after the type of monks that created them in Belgium. Trappist monks they used to call it liquid bread, and they would have beer during the times that they were fasting, so not eating anything. And beer at that time had a lot of nutrients in it. It was sustenance. The alcohol by volume was probably much lower and was like a liquid drink, almost like a smoothie.
bread.
Yeah, it was liquid bread, and it had nutrients and all kinds of really good powers for your body. You
Yeah.
go back, back before that to when the Egyptians were building pyramids. They would give the slaves building the pyramids rations of beer as a part of their fuel, as a part of their sustenance to keep going. It was hydrating. Again, not super high alcohol, but very filling as well. And then, going back before that, beer was actually used as a way to purify water, because we didn't have water systems and ways to make sure our water was clean. If you made beer into alcohol, again, a very low ABV alcohol, it purified the water, made it clean, and it would last longer in one's home. So beer has a very long history as well. One of the oldest, or the oldest known recipe found anywhere on the planet is a recipe for beer. And it is believed that beer was founded in ancient Mesopotamia, which is modern day Iran. And it was, it grew from there to Egypt, to Germany, and then around the rest of the world. So yeah, it goes way back. These
These
both
are
of these drinks,
these are ancient
yeah,
practices.
they're ancient practices.
The Egyptians gave beer to their slaves, well, and then they kept the wine for themselves because wine was only drank by royalty,
That's right.
the kings and queens and pharaohs or whomever else, and depending
Yeah,
on part of the world you were, but
yeah.
it remained true across, the globe during a certain point in time. Wine was only consumed, by the kings and queens or royalty.
Around that time when wine began to take off, they say a part of that was due to the Roman Empire
Mm-hmm.
rising into power, and the Romans they didn't drink beer. They couldn't grow hops in their region, but they had lots of wine. and they are, I think, blamed with, in a way, sort of decreasing the amount of beer that was produced in some regions of the world. Beer
Yeah.
and wine were founded around, not far from around the same time, but it just depended on who was in power and who could, share it with the world. You were saying that it was only for people of a certain stature. And beer, on the other hand, like you said, in Egypt, was an everyday drink because it was just a part of your meal, just a part of your everyday meal. Egypt was the first place where breweries were found, where people were
Oh,
creating, there were manufacturing facilities in Egypt,
mhm.
creating beer for the masses. And before that, you would have, and then after that, people created pubs and little small public houses to share beer. But yeah, there are ruins of ancient breweries found in Egypt. Like, they were on it. They were distributing, manufacturing
Yeah.
beer a long time ago.
I also
It's
heard that
amazing.
mead as well.
What you say?
I also heard that it was mead as well.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
was that was like as far as some of the very first to do it, I guess, or the very first to make mead
Hmm.
were or even
Yeah.
the honey
And
one.
mead is honey wine. Yep, that's right. And if you go to an Ethiopian restaurant today, they will serve you honey wine, which
Yeah,
is
they
their beer. Yeah, I love Ethiopian food. And
yeah.
yep, I always get some honey wine. It's real sweet, but I always get it. I
Right.
always get
I
it.
well, I was at a wedding at an Ethiopian wedding, and it wasn't. It was they had sweet honey wine, and then they had a drier
Oh,
side,
wow.
but they made it themselves. Like
Oh,
from my understanding,
really?
their tradition. I guess once the wedding is a go, they start making the wine specific
Wow.
for the ceremony or for the
Just
reception.
for that event. That
It's for
is so cool.
yeah, and I mean, and they made a lot of it because I mean, the wedding was it had to have been at least 400 people at least. It was a really this was some years ago. This was some years ago, and a good friend of mine. And it was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. But
Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
I'm having a drier styled honey wine that was not as sweet, as all the other honey wines that I'd had. Thought it was
Yeah.
pretty.
Allison says she's gonna pass on the honey wine. Why, Allison? Why you want to taste it? Let us know below. Look, I want to point out the similarities in these.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like the color, so pretty. Both of these are
yeah.
really pretty. Not far off. This is the wine. This is the beer, but not far off. Not far off in color and
No,
like viscosity. This one is not bubbly. The wine we
right.
had last week was bubbly, but this one
Yeah,
is a still wine, not
yeah.
bubbly at all.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
And then
what would you pair this with? What would you want to eat with this wine? I feel like
well,
it could go a lot of ways.
it can. I can tell you some of the things I've eaten with it, and just maybe things I've not eaten with it, but you can't eat with. Um, Really, any kind of cheesy pasta dish, any kind
Mm.
of pasta dish, whether it's like a carbonara or what else? The cacio e pepe.
What's
Uh,
that?
so that's a very okay. So that's just a super simple. It's just noodles, black pepper, and like Parmesan cheese.
Oh,
It's
I love that.
Yeah, it's really, and you can find it on most Italian menus, around the city. But it's a super simple Italian dish, but it's really good. As simple as it sounds, it's very tasty. And when you drink Italian wine with it, it just
Mm.
comes to life.
I
Yep,
could totally see that with this. This
yep,
wine is so good. Allison said, what about Alfredo?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to go wrong with any Italian dish when you have an Italian wine.
Mm.
Unless it's something like, well, I wouldn't encourage a tomato-based pasta dish, but
Okay.
more along the yeah, Alfredo is perfect, or anything with that's a cheesier type of dish. But
Buttery, kind of fatty. Does the acidity in this kind of break through that fat?
yeah, it has a nice bit of a little bit of acidity. A nice
Mm-hmm.
it's balanced, but it does have quite a bit of acidity on it. Also,
Mm,
like a
so good.
would be nice, or lemon caper sauce. Like over some sort of like light, mild, flaky white fish would be a
Okay.
good pairing. You
What
know,
about something spicy? Mickey is asking, what about a spicy dish? Would you
uh,
do this with something spicy?
I have not done it with anything spicy. And reason being is because it's just so citrus driven. I feel like maybe something that has some spice to it, this wine may kind of kick the spice up. Now, if you want that kick, if you want that extra kick, then, you know, I always tell people, I make suggestions, but it's really, really based upon your personal palate, you know,
Okay.
and what you know, when you taste it, what do you think it tastes? I always tell people just experiment a little bit, you know, try it with a couple
It's
different
so
things. Sometimes I go in my seasoning cabinet and pull out different spices and seasonings, and I just sort of kind of maybe just put them on a plate and just taste them all with my wine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then that'll help you guide like what you do with
Yeah.
that particular dish.
Yeah.
Chanel is asking, is it dry? Would you consider this dry?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a dry. It's not bone dry, but it's a dry. It would be considered a dry white wine.
Got you.
Yeah.
What about serving temperature? Do you drink this one cold? Allison is wanting to know. What about
Yes.
serving temperature for this?
Definitely drink it cold.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm gonna. A rule of thumb again is just for the white wine, because I've had this one in the fridge since yesterday. So before I got ready to pour it, I took it out 30 minutes before I was ready to
I
pour it.
forgot again.
That's
I
okay.
forgot again. I feel like now it's perfect.
Yeah, you just you take it out 30 minutes before you're ready to drink it or serve it, and it should be at a nice serving temperature. But and then if it was a red wine, you know, you would put it in the fridge for 30 minutes before you want to serve it.
Chanel is asking me if it gives me IPA vibes. It does not.
Oh,
It doesn't. This
this
wine. Yeah,
this
no.
does give me a little bit
Of IPA
the one
vibes?
no
Oh, okay.
the farmhouse that
Now it is a little more funky. So that I was gonna say that. I was talking to Sam. Shout out to Sam Spaghetti over at Hop
we
City. When he talked about this, we first went over to the Goza aisle. So Gozas are sours that have salt and salt and coriander spice. We also looked at Berliner Weisses.
okay.
We thought that this first may go well with a Goza, but I was worried about the saltiness of some Gozas really like uh, not being in line with this. So we skipped it. There was one that we thought may be okay. It's called Sequence by Dogfish Head. And we thought it may go okay, but we thought it may be too limey. So we scratched it on that. He did tell me then, he said, well, this is a little bit earthy. It's a wine. It's light, but it has a tiny bit of funk on it. And I
Yeah,
said, well, we already did a funky beer the
yeah,
first week. So I didn't want to do another one, but I
right.
did do a sour. And the only reason why I went to this sour is because the sour was a lot different from the first one that we had. So,
Yeah. But I
yeah.
think as far as you know, if we're speaking in terms of, you know, equivalent to, you know, the wine, I think it's a really good pick. I
Oh, I
think
think so too.
yeah,
I think
just
so too.
both have very similar characteristics on the nose and on the palate.
100%.
And feels too, kind of. Even though this one, you know, has not undergone any malolactic fermentation whatsoever, it still has a little bit of weight, but the weight comes from, you know, it being unfiltered.
Unfiltered.
Yeah.
Unfiltered. So thinking about foods that would go with this beer, I would say very similar to everything that you said. I could totally see this being a beer that you would drink with fish,
Yeah.
salad, anything that you don't want to compete with
Right.
the flavors of. It could go up against something spicy. Mickey asked. This could definitely go up against something spicy. This one, so Chanel might have been asking about IPA vibes because sometimes IPAs, she might have been talking in relation to your wine. IPAs are known to amp up the heat and the spice level in foods. So if you're eating something spicy and you want to amp up the spice in that, drink an IPA along with it. There is literally a reaction that happens on your tongue where the acids found in hops binds spices to your tongue. So it's very hard. It's not one of those beers that you drink when you're trying to cleanse your palate of a jalapeno. If you cleanse your palate eating a jalapeno with an IPA, it is going to ignite. So, but this is one The sour is one that would definitely quench your palate, clear out your mouth, give
Yeah.
you a nice neutral environment in your mouth for when you're eating. I love pairing beer with food. And so this is one that I think could pair with a lot of very light things. I would not put this, I think it would go good with spicy stuff. I probably wouldn't put it with like heavy foods like chocolates, steak, something that's kind of thick and just sort of very has a lot of depth in the flavor. It could go with it, but it's just going to disappear. So if that's the case, you may as well drink a pale lager or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So Denise is saying she is anxious to try last week and this week's sour.
Oh,
Denise, you can get them at Hop City. You should. Last week is amazing. If you can't find it, let me know. I may have one left. I'm not sure. But this one, lemonade, you might find this at Publix. I've seen this once at Publix before.
Really? Oh, cool.
Yep. And Denise is intrigued by this week's wine, too. Denise, I don't know if you got on, but Billie, remind people of the price point and where they could find this wine.
Oh, sure. So this wine, and I hold the bottle again to anyone who may not have seen. But this particular wine you can find, or I got this one at Hop City. And the price point is $14.99. It may vary $1 or $2 depending on where you go, but you can find it at, what did I say? Local Vine.
Local Vine, yeah.
Tower. Oh, and you know what? You can also find it at like Sherlock's or Ansley Wine Merchant. They definitely. So depending on what side of town y'all are on. But
Denise is way west. Denise, do you come into the city? Let us know if you come into the city, because there's some place you can definitely get it in the city. I think Denise lives like past Thornton Road area. So,
oh, okay.
Do you know anything out there? Any good wine shops or bottle shops she could count on?
I should, because my mother lives out in that area.
Yay!
But it's and there is. I just don't know the name of it.
Okay.
And,
let me know, and I'll let Denise know.
I will.
I'll make sure I text Denise and let her know where she can get it on her side of town.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And yes. Chanel says Tower has both of the beers that we had. She just did a quick search.
Oh.
Thank you, Chanel. Chanel is a sleuth.
Like Tower just rocks. When it comes to like the wine. Yeah, it's and I like it because it is, kind of like a mainstream, because they have liquor too, but
they do.
You'll find, some of the smaller production wines at Tower.
Denise is back in the office downtown, so she can get this when she's in town.
Hey,
That's what you're saying.
Good.
Basically, Denise, you can go to Krog Street and get both of these now.
Greens.
That's not far from downtown.
Yeah.
And she saw the beer. Chanel saw the beer at Greens. Yeah, this Wild Leap is everywhere. It should be at Greens, Publix, literally so many places. If you can't get it, let me know. I'll get you some, but you shouldn't have a problem getting it at all.
That's the cool part about local beer too. It's going to be
here
to find in your city, or in the city
I love it.
That's the cool part for me. You can pretty much go wherever.
I think so too. Mm-hmm. Now that's the one thing where there's a deviation. You don't see a whole lot of local wineries, right? Like and is that because of just the difficulty in growing the grape? Like it has to be a certain place, or what's the deal?
Yeah. So the thing about it, you know what? Okay, so it could be a situation where wineries are definitely doable in the city, as in like urban city wine, for instance.
Right.
They're just kind of, they just would have to build a facility to be conducive for making wine. But of course, wineries don't have to worry about growing the grapes. They'll, source the grapes from other places. So that's very doable. So why? I have no idea. Maybe that's something I need to look into for myself. But as far as the vineyards are concerned, in North Georgia, when I've talked to the winemakers in North Georgia, a lot of them want to keep their wines like I don't want to call it a niche, but I want to like special. I mean, that's just like, for lack of a better word, they want to kind of special. They want you to come visit. That's what they want. They want you to come visit. They're proud of their property. They're proud of their wines. They want you to because they want to greet you.
Yep.
You know, the winemakers there are kind of always hanging around. You know, it may not be every single day, but they are very hands on at their place. So that's really one of the reasons. And two, the productions are smaller, so they don't mass produce, or the
Right.
production, enough for them to be shipping out to some of these wine shops and stuff locally in the city. And they're only an hour and a half away. So
Yeah, it's not bad. Vino, you can book a Vino van trip and do that.
shameless plug.
Isn't that right? But it's so true. And
Right.
that way you can drink. I think
Mhm.
that's also one of the hesitations that people might have. Like I went to Chateau Alon with my best friend in 2020, and we spent the night, which was great because we could just, toast up at the pool and have a great time. But everyone, what if you got to come back home? So it's easier, it's
Yeah.
safer to book
Yeah.
something like Vino Van. If you're in Atlanta, you can book ATL Beer Bus. They do stops around different breweries in Atlanta, so you don't have to worry about driving and being unsafe. So, yeah, I love the idea of going to the place where the product is made because, like you said, like they put a lot of craft, a lot of handiwork, their blood, sweat, and tears, and all their investments into creating this space where they want to welcome you. And the good thing about having a product at a brewery or at a winery is that it is the freshest that you're going to have it. It's not going to be that fresh when you get at the store. It'll still be fine, but
You
the
know,
freshest you can get it is at the place that it is canned
right.
and bottled and made, and it just changes your whole appreciation for it.
It does. You're absolutely
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
Listen, it's always a pleasure being here with you. We had a lot of people check in today. I'm so happy for people that checked in. I'm going to
Yeah.
just flash the beer and wine one more time for people to see.
And all the glasses.
Yeah, and the glasses. So beautiful, so delicious. We did a
Yeah.
lemon sour and a Vino Bianco, and they were both fabulous and beautiful. I
Oh
want to
yes.
thank you for being here with me, Billie.
Oh
This
yeah.
is always a pleasure, and thank everyone for joining us today. I'm going to put a picture of both of the products in my story. If you have any questions, DM me and or Billie. Make sure you follow me. I'm ATL Beer Boutique. Billie, what's your handle on Instagram?
It is at the Vino Van LLC.
There you go. Follow us both, and we are here next week with what might be our final episode. We may do a bonus round. We'll talk about that later.
Definitely. But
Thank you for getting lit and learning, as my homie, my fam, Mickey says, get lit and learn on Wednesday nights up in here. We thank you all for being here. If you missed it and just joined in, I'm going to post it right now to my IGTV. And we will see you here next week at 6 p.m.
all righty.
Bye, guys.
Bye, y'all. Cheers.
Cheers.